Alright, so for this video, we are going to rate Camila Mendes. She is a Brazilian American actress known for playing Veronica on Riverdale. She's of Brazilian descent and has starred in movies like Do Revenge and Palm Springs. For this video, I'm just gonna go over her flaws and also her good features, and we're gonna see where she is rated. Now, before I start, like I said before on my other video, tell me what videos y'all want me to do next, and also let me know down below who y'all want me to rate next. What celebrities do y'all want? Make sure it is not a black female or a white female. I'm pretty much done with those for right now, and I'm trying to just fill in for the other groups. So make sure to tell me what celebrities I should do. Although I'll admit, if I can't find the celebrity, I'll literally message you and tell you what other celebrities do you have in mind that I should rate, because sometimes it's not easy to get the right pictures for every celebrity. All right, so her rating, or her overall rating, is a 7.4. How rare is that? That is 1 in 516 people. This will put her at the 0.2 percentile, which is extremely rare. So for her side facial score, I gave her a 73%. For her frontal facial score, I gave her a 58%. Her total facial harmony score is a 64%. Her facial dimorphism is a 6.5. Her facial body fat factors is an 8.5. And then her miscellaneous features is a 9.5. And then we got the tier list to the right side. Tier 1 is ideal, tier 2 is near ideal, tier 3 is normal, tier 4 is a slight flaw, tier 5 is a flaw, tier 6 is a huge flaw, and tier 7 breaks harmony. Alright, so this is the rarity score of celebrities. Now, this is usually in the template that I always put. I just wanted to tell y'all guys that none of these have been changed. All of these celebrities are still going to be the same until I find a celebrity that is more famous than the person that is already up there, who have this either the same harmony score or better. That's the only time I'm actually going to change this. So I'm going to just leave everything the way it is until I find a celebrity that is more famous. For example, I put The Rock as a 5.5, right? I'm not going to change that until I find a celebrity who's more famous than The Rock, who is within the same harmony score, which is going to be nearly impossible, because The Rock is, who's more famous than The Rock right now? Let's be honest, only a few people is. And I doubt they're probably within that score range. But yeah, that's kind of like the mindset and thinking of this. So that's why some of y'all haven't really seen the change. And I believe I have not changed this within over a year. Alright, so this is the overall facial assessment breakdown from the worst features and the best features. So let's start off with the first one, which is extremely compact face, and let's see what we have there. Alright, so we have the FWHR, and I don't know if I really got to zoom in on this because we can kind of already see what's going on. Now, I do want to tell y'all guys that she does have a obviously tier 6, right, which is a huge flaw, right, which meaning that it is severe, and normally this would be a tier 7, but that's only if the face is more elongated, meaning that the facial features separate even more outwardly. So if you do have a compact face, it is seen as slightly more attractive than having a elongated face, and it is more suited towards a female slightly than a male. But right here is very compact, meaning that her facial features are just very close together, and obviously you can see that, you know, her eyebrows are more closer towards her eye line, and then she does have a not the lengthiest nose, obviously, as you can see, and then she does have a very short philtrum. So all these things kind of make her face more on the compact side, and just overall, she doesn't really have a long face or anything like that. So that does play towards it, and I'm going to show y'all guys an example of who I believe have a similar facial feature. It's not going to be as compact as what she has at 2.31, which is the highest that I've rated out of all celebrities. But I'm gonna show you guys somebody who has something close or something as similar to it, and it's actually from the same background. So that's something I noticed with Hispanic women. I'm kind of seeing that pattern. All right, so what y'all see here is Victoria Justice, and I know some of y'all probably don't know who she is, but I feel like she kind of has the same thing going on at 2.24. This is somebody that I've rated not too long ago. I just haven't really done a video on it, not that I need to, but she does have a very compact face, or her facial features are more compact, and like I said again, she does have, you know, obviously the short field trim. The nose isn't really just lengthy or anything like that, and then the eyebrows kind of come closer towards the eye line, and that's something that I just, like I said again, noticed with Hispanic females. But the opposite is normally with black females, where it's more on the elongated side, not too elongated to where it's not ideal or anything like that, but just the opposite. And that's something that I kind of see with different ethnic groups. All right, next is the overly long chin. So let's take a look at why her chin is overly long. So right here is the chin to field trim ratio. And another thing that I do want to explain is that I know some of y'all see the 2.5 right there to the side over here. And this is just how much is worth in total compared to every single other measurement. This is the actual value of what is worth. Now, and I gave it a tier 5, which means that it is somewhat of a flaw, not a huge flaw, but it's still a flaw, a noticeable flaw. And let's take a closer look at it. And you know, one thing that I will say is there's really not too much wrong with her field trim. It's just that the chin is just on the longer side, and you can just obviously tell. When I was looking at her for the first time, the three things that popped into my mind was long dark eyebrows, very squinched face, and then long chin, and the proportions are just kind of off a little bit. And I'll kind of get to that a little bit later, but just the sheer chin amount that she has it's so much, honestly. And what this is how much field trim can you fit within the chin height, right? So you can fit 3 of the field trims within the chin height, and this doesn't really mess up, you know, her jaw angle or anything like that. But I feel like this does help her in order to get a good jaw angle, which I will get to later. I feel like if she didn't have this chin height, her jaw angle would be a little bit more flatter, in my honest opinion. So it's funny how some of these things kind of work hand to hand together. So it might hinder you in some areas, but it might help you in another area. But me personally, if I was to make a slight change, I would say that she would maybe need a slightly longer field trim to give it a better balance in between the field trim to chin ratio, in my honest opinion. All right, so next we have is the upper lip lacks forward growth or projection. Let's see. All right, so what we have here is the H line. Now I'm gonna go through all of them besides the Ricketts E line. I don't feel like the Ricketts E line has anything to do with this, but and she did pass the Ricketts E line, so that's why I'm gonna go through only the 3 other lines. So as you can see, that it is a little bit tough to see, but hopefully y'all can kind of have a good idea of what's going on. So it's gonna be kind of hard to tell just by looking at the screen, but her lower lip actually slightly passes the tangent line. Now it's not supposed to pass the tangent line, it's actually supposed to be in line with the line. Trust me, I know it's very hard to see and it looks like it's in line with the line, but I promise you it's not. So if her upper lip was actually forwardly projected a little bit more, then the lower lip will be in line with the tangent line rather than being past it. So and I'm not saying that her lower lip is actually more protrusive than her upper lip, but you do want to have a more protrusive upper lip in general than having a lower lip that is either around the same protrusiveness or greater than. If it's farther or just way more protrusive than the upper lip, then it will kind of give like a slight underbite. Not saying that you do have an underbite, but it will look as if you do have an underbite. I'll get to that later as well. All right, so for the S line, I gave it a tier 2. All right, so this is still better than the tier 3 from the last one. And the only reason why is because the upper lip is slightly behind the tangent line, right? Now what you want is you want both lips to touch the tangent line. You want it to be in line with the Camila, or the end of it, or the end of the nostril exposure right here where you see the upper lip doesn't really meet that tangent line, but the lower lip does. As you can see, it touches. So that's kind of like 50-50 right there. So I gave it a tier 2. But preferably, like I said again, if her upper lip was just more projected, then it will be able to touch that tangent line, and which means that it will harmonize the face very well. Another thing too is that she does have a very projected nose, but I don't feel like her nose projection does have any effect on whether or not the upper lip will meet that line. Some people may say so, but the reason why I say that is because her nasal bridge is actually lower set. So like she has a lower set nasion in general, especially for a Hispanic woman. So I don't feel like that has anything to do with it. Just in sheer width, like I'm talking about like the nasal width. And then we have the B line. I gave it a tier 2 again. Like I said, I didn't say that the lower lip is actually passed. But I didn't say that the upper lip is passed. I just said that they kind of both are in line with each other. Preferably, like I said again, you want your upper lip to be visibly ahead of your lower lip. So when you look at somebody, you want to make sure that their upper lip is more forwardly progressed than the lower lip. It just looks proper. All right, so next we have the pupils are more closer set. Let's take a look at that. All right, so that brings us to the eye separation ratio, and we have a tier 5 at 43.2%. Now, this kind of shocked me a little bit. Now, anybody from any background or race or even gender, because women do have more, women usually have eyes that are more widely spread apart, meaning their pupils are more spread apart on average. But for her, it's the complete opposite, where her pupils are actually more inwards. And normally you will see this with Asians just in general. So the fact that she has 43.2%, which is far deviated than what is normal, right, within the 45 to 46 range, this is going to be an obvious difference, right? So maybe in pictures you might not tell the difference, or you might not really see it, but if you look at her in person, you're gonna be like, man, her eyes are really closer together, or more closer set together, and it's something that can be obvious as well. So that's why she gets a tier 5, and this will set, you know, a person's attraction back a little bit, but it's not the end all be all, because there are other things that factor in as well. All right, next we got an overbite. Let's see what that is about. All right, so we have is the S2 line, and based off of the S2 line, I got a 89%. 89% meaning that this is just the ratios between the upper lip and the lower lip, and it goes by the tangent line going from the chin all the way to the nasion, and from there, or you can just say the pogonion to the nasion if you want to be technical with it. And with the 89%, that is going to be a perfect bite. It should be a perfect bite. Another way you can kind of have an idea is to look at the B line or the burster line, which we saw that we got a tier 2, meaning that it should be either a straight bite or overbite. But With this S2 line, it doesn't always give you the accurate reading or accurate measurements. For the most part, what I've noticed with the S2 line is you can't really tell or judge somebody's bite based off of their lips, unfortunately. So that's why I actually just go on Google and see them smiling or see them laughing to see whether they do have an overbite or underbite. Most celebrities, I'll probably say like 90% of celebrities have overbites, so don't, but it gets to a point to where how much overbite do they have or overjet do they have with their teeth. So that's one thing that this can definitely tell me. But for the most part, underbite, overbite, perfect bite is not the most accurate way to do it, especially with the lips. So yeah. So the malocclusion that I got just from the pictures that I've seen is a skeletal class 2, which is a slight overbite. She doesn't really have a crazy overbite or anything like that. It's just that the upper teeth are just slightly ahead of the lower teeth. And I believe she has veneers, so veneers do play a role in it. And it kind of just changed your malocclusion a little bit. So let's take a look. So right here is a picture of how she looks when she is smiling, and this is the only real picture that I can get of both of the teeth. Normally when celebrities do smile, it seems like they hide their lower teeth, especially when they have an extreme overbite. You would not be able to see the lower teeth at all. But for her, I could tell this is not how she really smiles. I don't know what she was doing when she was smiling here, or just showing or exposing her teeth. But as you can see, the teeth right here and the back teeth, the back portions look kind of aligned together, but the front portion right here where it's exposed is actually above the lower portion, and is pretty noticeable. It's not too bad or anything like that, but this is what most celebrities usually might have. But most of the time, especially for the men, I've been noticing that they do have more of an overbite that is more noticeable. All right, so the last one for the worst features is the mouth is too wide for the face. So let's take a look at why that may be. All right, so I feel like the best way to see why that is to look at the rules of the fifths. So we're not looking at the ears or nor the mouth, even though the ears and the mouth are near to ideal, so they're almost perfect. And also she does have a fairly good sized nose that fit within the inner portions of the eyes, but we're not looking at that. We're only looking at the mouth independently, and we're going to see why that may be. So for the mouth, right, it goes from the creases of the mouth. Now, sometimes the black and white might give it an illusion to where it might not seem like that's where the lips may end, but that is where it actually ends. The only reason why I have these pictures in black and white is so that you'll be able to see the colors better, and I feel like it's better visually, rather than how I did it before when I first started this channel with the colors. And sometimes the red the red colors you would definitely not see depending on how the background is, and then the blue is like 50-50. But anyway, it goes all the way to the top, and what happens is it's supposed to be within the inner iris of the eyes, and it's actually touching the pupils of the eye. So the lip width is actually almost damn near the same length as the ESR, or the eye separation ratio, so the pupil distance. So literally her lip width is the same distance as the pupil distance, which that should not be the case. But I didn't like give her, a red for the mouth. I gave her a yellow, which means that it's still near to ideal, because it's not all the way there yet, or it's not even past. Sometimes I might see some celebrities whose mouth is very large for the face to where it's past it. It's still kind of close, but not near. And especially for the fact that she does have just a small nose. Like I said, again, females do have smaller noses, but if your nose is small, you also don't want to have a large mouth because it's going to look unproportional to the face. All right, so next for the best features is she does have a thin, long, dark eyebrows. That is one of the features that I noticed when I first saw her face. So let's see why that is. All right, so the next one is eyebrow steadiness. I gave it a tier 1. This is pretty obvious. I mean, she does have eyebrows that are very lower set to the face. This is something that I'm kind of noticing, and I don't know what it is, but this is kind of giving me like Jennifer Lopez vibes, because I know Jennifer Lopez had eyebrows that are extremely lower set to her face, and I'm kind of seeing the similarities with this girl right here. And one thing that I like about her eyebrows is that, you know, it's perfectly shaped. I mean, I don't know if I've seen anybody else with eyebrows that are this dark and this perfectly shaped. I mean, this I don't know if it'll be very suitable for a man, because it just a little bit, I don't know, just a little bit detailed and curved out and slightly ever so thin. But still, this is pretty some good dark eyebrows that I've seen, and trust me, I've rated a lot of people, and even my subscribers, I don't think I've seen eyebrows that are just perfectly shaped. So I can tell that she takes good care of it. And 59 is very low, but it's not too low to where it's considered masculine or anything like that. And then for the eyebrow tilts, the eyebrow tilt doesn't hold as much weight as the eyebrow settingness, just to let y'all know. The eyebrow tilt was at 2%. This one is at 1.2%. Not saying that the eyebrow tilt isn't really a feature that is non-desirable. And also the eyebrow tilt does have a factor in the dimorphism, so how feminine or masculine a person's face may be. And obviously for her, her eyebrows are just a little bit too tilted up. I know some people might disagree, but for the most, that might just be too overly tilted and too much. And like I usually say again and again and again, it can kind of look silly that somebody's eyebrows are just tilted too high. When I see that, I just think that maybe she just drew it in, or, you know, some people actually like draw it in. But you actually want to have eyebrows that are a little bit more slightly lowered, maybe around like the 18 degree range, 16 degree range will be perfectly fine. But anything past 20 is to a range where it just kind of looks comical a little bit, and it's just too much tilt to it. Now, I will say this, having eyebrows that are very closer set, having eyebrows that are more closer set can give it the illusion that your eyes are just in general just more closer together, like the actual eye itself, maybe not the pupils. It can probably give like an opposite effect, to where it might look like the pupils are more further away, but I'm talking about the actual eyes itself. It may give it a look to where it looks like it's more closer set. Our next is a sharp jaw. Let's take a look at that. All right, so for her gonial angle, I gave it a tier 1. Gonial angle is probably going to be the biggest feature that you can have for your side view profile. That's the first thing that a person notices, is the jaw. Usually, well, actually, I'll say that's the second thing that person notices when they look at you, especially from the front. But from the side, the first thing that they will notice is your jaw angle. And if you don't have a sharper jaw angle, it can make your lower third look more weak. But for her at 124, this is really good. She does have a fairly good gonial angle for the face. And yeah, so I was working with 2 pictures. Obviously, the only reason why I was working with the other picture is because in that picture she was opening her eyes, which I do need that as well for another measurement. So with these pictures, I am more concise with it. So that's why I say if you're gonna give me a celebrity request, make sure that you know, they are a big enough celebrity to where I can have a full range of pictures to work with rather than only having a few. I don't want to force anything or anything like that. All right, next is the jaw frontal angle at a tier 1. I gave it a 92 degrees. 92 degrees is pretty sharp, not too narrow, not too wide. Like I said again, I really believe that her chin height actually helped it a lot. So that's a plus. That's something that the chin actually helped her with. So sometimes it can be a flaw or a major flaw that might help you with another measurement, and sometimes it'll work that way. Obviously, you want everything to just work as a domino effect, where just one good feature, another good feature, another good feature, another good feature, another good feature, rather than just a flaw that affects something else that may help something else, and then it still might affect two other things. And it just that type of anti-domino effect that you don't want to happen. But yeah, so I believe that the chin did help, or the chin height did help with this one. So yeah, and she does have a fairly sharp jaw just in general. All right, so next is she has a refined nose shape. All right, so for the nasal tip, I don't even know if I want to zoom in on this because like I said again, it's kind of hard to see what's really going on. But the nasal tip angle is at a 0.8. So I need y'all to know that don't take too much weight on the nasal tip angle. It doesn't really have any true weight to it, or it doesn't really have any gravity in terms of like if you don't do well on the nasal tip angle. It doesn't really take too much away from your overall attractiveness. So don't flip out or trip if you don't have the sharpest of noses, or if you just have, you know, let's say a rounded out nose near the end. It's not the end of the day or anything like that. I gave her a tier 2, and this girl, she doesn't even have, you know, a nose that is like that pointy or anything like that. Not that I don't think that she had anything done to it or a nose job, who knows, but based off of her old pictures, I don't think she did have anything like that. Like I said again, with the nasal tip, you don't want any space in between the actual tip of the nose. You actually want to have a very tight seal to where you don't see any gaps in between. I know it's a little bit harder to kind of like see like right here because, you know, the background is like black right here. But for this one, I actually had to just to make sure, I actually had to put it in color, and then I actually make sure to make the background a little bit more brighter so I can make sure that there isn't no space or any gaps in between. The nasal tip does kind of give me sometimes a hard time. It's not like the gonial angle where you can just see exactly where the ramus and mandible is at. For this one, you actually gonna have to take your time to see where the true angle may be. So you might have to do it multiple times. All right, so equal facial thirds, and then we have straight mandible, and then good head shape. So I'm gonna try to do all three, just knock them out, and yeah. All right, so for the equal facial thirds, it's a very important measurement. Some people don't really put too much emphasis on it, but yeah, this measurement is extremely important. One thing that I will say that actually tripped me up is some people, and this is kind of strange and weird to me, honestly, and I literally watched a TikTok with this girl, or it was a TikTok, but with this girl on Twitter. She was ranting about some random stuff, and I noticed that her eyebrows were lower than her actual brow ridge. Like the eyebrows were literally low, and she had a pretty prominent brow bone. Her eyebrows were literally like an inch beneath the actual brow bone. Now, obviously for this girl right here, Mendes, her eyebrows kind of like starts like an inch below it, and then it goes above it, and then it ends at or around the brow bone right here. Now, it was kind of hard to see where her brow bone was actually at. So like it started right here, it goes around it, it goes above it, and then it ends at the brow bone. But the person that I saw, literally, like her skull shape was a bit strange, but her actual eyebrows were below the actual brow bone, which I found kind of weird. But usually most people's eyebrows ride around or near the brow bone for the most part. And the reason why I'm putting so much emphasis on the brow bone is, if y'all don't know, the brow bone is probably the hardest place to identify, especially from the front, and especially if you're not dealing with a person who does have a more masculinized face or a prominent brow ridge. And if you are dealing with somebody who doesn't have a prominent brow bone, you don't want to make any guesses. So you kind of want to be accurate with this sort of stuff, right? And also, yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, she's even around, and yeah, her facial thirds are very evened out. So this is a really good feature, and not everybody gets to pass the facial thirds, honestly. The facial thirds is a measurement where where I noticed that even though females do have a longer middle third, sometimes it can be too long to where it unbalances other portions of their face. And then for men, it can be the opposite with the lower third. But for some men, I have found out that their middle third is still the longest, which is kind of strange. Now, this is a measurement that I really don't talk about too much. This measurement is actually very similar to the lower third proportions, right? Which is the actual lower thirds of the face proportions. And this measurement is something similar to it. The only difference is this one is more rigorous. So it's really harder to pass ever so slightly, but it's another way to tell whether somebody's lower thirds are more proportionate. Like I said again, if y'all don't remember, now I'm gonna say this again, or not again, but I'm gonna say this right now. Her lips ratio is really good. So this is not an effect to what is about to go on. But her chin, as we've seen before, is longer than her philtrum. But overall, her upper portion, right, is supposed to be around the 40 to 50% of the lower portion, which is right here. And if this was a lower third proportion measurement, right, meaning that the upper portion of her lower third is supposed to be 1/3 of the whole thing. So this is just another way of doing it rather than doing the whole thing. But instead of 30%, is only going to be around 40 to 50%. Right, because it's not all the way, it's missing 1/3 of it. So there's another way to see if the ratios match evenly. And overall, she does have a pretty proportionate lower third of her face. And the main thing to it is that you don't want your philtrum to be too long. That's really the main thing of this whole thing right here, is that although that some people may pass the philtrum to chin ratio measurement, the philtrum to chin ratio measurement, or the lower third measurement, also identifies whether the philtrum is too long for the chin. So you actually don't want your philtrum to be too long for your face. It's not a perfectly good look to your face. All right. Now, she does have a very good head shape, as you can see. This is the bitemporal width. The bitemporal width doesn't hold too much, as you can see, 1%, and I gave it a tier 1. She does have a good amount of forehead exposure. I usually get it around the middle part of the forehead, normally where the edges are at. Now, for females, the edges are not as identifiable, but you can kind of get a good glance of where it may be. And normally their hairline is more rounded too. But as you can see, it's not too near or too close. With some Hispanic females, they do have that tendency to where their hairline is more closer compact, and it could make their hair, or it could make their upper portion of their head look more narrow than what it needs to be. All right, last but not least, we have is the bigonial width. And with the bigonial width, she got an 86%, which is pretty proportional. This is on the I would say it's on the lower side. It's not too low to where it's a detraction or anything like that, because females can get away with having an even lower proportion third or proportion face, and it can be a little bit slightly more narrower. So kind of like think of it like a diamond in a way, which that's kind of like what her head shape is. If your lower third is a little bit too wide or too wide, it can make your face look like a pear, especially if your upper third or your upper portion, meaning your bitemporal width, is narrow. So let's assume that she had a narrow bitemporal width, the measurement that we just did last time or just a few seconds ago. And then let's say her lower third is very wide. That's a pear shape. But the opposite is a light bulb shape, which she does not have. And thanks to her cheekbones being fairly wide, she cannot get that, because her lower proportions, even though it's a little bit narrow, not too narrow, that means that her upper proportions, which means that the bitemporal width, has to be extremely wide. All right. And sometimes that's what some men kind of go through, especially with the hairline recession and stuff like that, or just simply that they do have a wider skull up top. So that's something that you can kind of see with some people. I know Jonathan Majors do have I guess like a pear head shape in a way, just to give an example. And then some people just do have a light bulb head shape, kind of in a strange way. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for it. And tell me guys what y'all want to see next. And yeah, I'm out. Peace.